Good Thursday evening, everybody. Welcome back into Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media channel. I want to welcome everybody in for another live episode here today. And we're going to get into the story of Nicholas, aka Nicholas Rossi, aka Arthur Knight. This is a man that has been hiding under a false identity for quite a few years now. And I actually featured this case probably about a year ago on my channel when I first started to really hear about this, and actually had the opportunity to talk to a gentleman named Brian Kugan that was a state representative in the Rhode Island House of Representatives, Alaverdian, when Alaverdian actually became a speaker on the floor there at 14 years old. And that was such a fascinating live. I did that back in February, and I'll drop that link at the end of this live tonight so you can get kind of caught up. And I'd love to have Brian come in and sit here, as we have new information in Rossi's case. So Rossi actually left the United States, escaped from the United States. He was accused of a sex crime, quite a few actually, and escaped over to the UK, slipped his way into Scotland, and resumed this identity of Arthur Brown. He actually met a woman while he was in Scotland, got married, and changed his name to Arthur Knight. And then it gets very interesting. He went into a hospital in Scotland with COVID, long-form COVID, and while I was recovering from this COVID, essentially almost in like a coma, COVID coma, authorities had come in and actually located Rossi and identified him by his tattoos. Now, he has carried on this persona that he is not Nicholas Alaverdian, he is not Nicholas Rossi, he is Arthur Knight, and has assumed that identity and has been questioned in numerous interviews, and still claims that he is not Nicholas Alaverdian, aka Rossi. So we'll get into this tonight, and I just want to welcome everybody in. Let me just look at the chat here for a minute. We are live right now. Brenda's in the house. Good to see you. Amy is here. She said, "Hey, kids, smash that like button. Appreciate you being here." Debbie's here. Thank you. Sophie is here as well. It's very nice to be back. Thank you for being here. We have Amber, part of the Ghost Squad here, and Amber in the chat. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to pull up an article here so we can get kind of started. Hello. And here we go. This now is kind of present date. And what I'm going to do is take kind of through a history, like I did last night on the Chelsea Grim stream, take it through kind of a history here of what happened in Nicholas Rossi's case. And we'll kind of start with present day, and then we'll work our way back up to the most recent court hearing that we had in August of this year. Okay, so U.S. court told of Nicholas Rossi's DNA links to a rape case, and this is a case that is out in Utah, in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we'll read the article here from the BBC. A U.S. court has been told that the DNA from the man extradited from Scotland matches materials collected by police investigation in an alleged rape case in 2008. Nicholas Rossi, who has faked his own death, spent 2 years fighting attempts to have him sent to Utah to face rape charges. Rossi, 37, claimed to authorities in Scotland that he was an Irish orphan called Arthur Knight and was a victim of a mistaken identity. And wait until you see videos of this guy. I mean, it is insane. So I call him the Jackal. If you ever seen the Bruce Willis movie, the Jackal, he takes on all these identities through the entire movie and changes his look. And every time I keep thinking about this case, that's all that I can literally keep coming up with. So we'll go on here to read. So it says Provo District Court in Utah heard. I'm sorry, this is in Provo, Utah. I thought it was out of Salt Lake, and I may be wrong. Maybe Provo is a part of in and around Salt Lake. I don't think it is. I think I'm wrong on that. I think they're a little bit further apart. But anyway, I digress on that one. So Provo heard on Tuesday that a sample of DNA taken from Utah County Jail in January matched the sample from 17 years ago. Goes on to say, Rossi was present in the court for this hearing, and you're going to see multiple hearings before that led up to this, Rossi would not make an appearance. I have a very cringy one, an appearance in a Utah court that Rossi, I guess, attempted to whittle his way out of it. We're going to see that before we saw the newest hearing here tonight. So Rossi was presented in court for the hearing. According to local news sources, his defense gave his legal name as Arthur Knight, but agreed for him to be called Nicholas Rossi during the proceedings. So it's kind of like he's giving up that Arthur Knight persona. Maybe. Lieutenant Carolee Johnson of the Orem Police Department in Utah told the court that the DNA samples taken in 2008 rape investigation had been kept in the force's archive. Thank God, right? Thank God that they held on to those DNA samples. So probable cause, says Judge Derek Pullen of the 4th District Judge Courthouse, ruled that there was a probable cause for a trial to go ahead. According to the KYMU TV Utah, the judge said, based on the facts disclosed today, the statement has been found probable cause to believe that the defendant, Nicholas Rossi, committed the offense of rape and charged. And this is not the only rape charge that he's of. In the U.S. law, probable cause means police prosecutors, and this is from the BBC, that's why they're kind of explaining the law here, the courts think that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the person has committed a crime. Rossi is facing 2 rape allegations, one in Salt Lake City County and one in Utah County. So Tuesday's hearing was the second time he'd appeared in court in a week. On the Thursday, August 22nd, the judge sitting in the Salt Lake City ruled that the prosecutor Rossi's other rape case. Rossi is scheduled to appear in a court again for the hearing of the arraignment on the 16th of October. Okay, well, let's do this. I know in the article here, it gives us a kind of rundown of who Nicholas Rossi is. But let's go to video. I want you all to see what this guy looks like and what he's trying to do and what he's done to escape these charges. So let's pull this up. And this was on Scottish TV. And here we go. This is Nicholas Alaverdian Rossi, a.k.a. Arthur Knight. This is one of the wildest things that I have ever seen. Here we go.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Arthur Knight, and this is my wife, Miranda Knight.
Are you Nicholas Rossi?
No.
Are you
That is
Nicholas
completely
Alaverdian?
insane. Absolutely not.
Are you Nicholas Brown?
Yes.
Police say this man has lived his life under at least 16 different names. They believe he fled from America to the UK to avoid rape charges in Utah. Then, in 2020, they were told he was dead. Just under a year ago, police believed they had...
Look at the oversized oxygen tank. This is wild. Look at the oversized oxygen tank.
Found the fugitive in Scotland.
Pulled it over on a lot of people, but he got fooled.
Did the family believe Nicholas had died?
No, he's not dead. He loves life too much.
People who knew Nicholas Rossi, Nicholas Alaverdian, claim that it's you.
DNA doesn't lie.
I know my husband does not have tendencies as a rapist.
He's a con artist.
I mean, it's
what he
him.
is. I call
This
him
is
a
him.
jellyfish.
This is
Because
him.
a jellyfish, you can't pick into it.
So I've interviewed Brian Kugan back in this previous February. So I've actually sat with him. I didn't sit down with him, but I had him on my live show. And I'd love to get him back in here because Kugan was just such a great guy to talk to and actually became very close to Rossi during his time in the House of Representatives in Rhode Island. And, you know, he told us during the interview that Rossi was very smart. He used to kind of keep... He would keep notes. He would record conversations and use that information against people, almost like blackmailing them. And like I said, at the end of this live tonight, I will drop that link so you can go back and actually watch that conversation. But I'm going to reach back out to Brian Kugan now that we have new information here on Rossi and see if he can come in and sit down next to me and have a conversation about this. All right, let's keep playing on here.
It has long
This
tentacles.
is out of
that
Rhode
can
Island,
sting
by
you.
the way.
Is he capable of doing it? Anybody's capable of doing
Excuse me.
anything if they want to.
I'd be very happy though just to see him remain behind bars.
These are very serious charges that this man faces. They claim this man faked his own death to evade those charges. Did you fake your own death?
Sure, we're sitting having a conversation. I've never been dead to anyone.
It's a story that began with an arrest in a Glasgow hospital, and it continues to attract international
Welcome in,
headlines.
everybody.
Rhode Island is more than 3,000 miles away from where the individual at the centre of this case was arrested. It's here many believe they've always known the true identity of the man behind the mask.
Look at all this, the AKAs he took on, all the identities.
This is Cranston, a small town near the capital of Rhode Island, where Nicholas Alaverdian spent most of his childhood. He lived with his mother and stepfather, David Rossi. The singer, who was an Engelbert Humperdinck impersonator, adopted him when he was 8.
There's Nicholas.
Nicholas took his stepfather's surname, but the pair's relationship was nothing short of turbulent and at times violent.
As a child, from day one, when I adopted him and his brother and sister, they weren't no boggles either. He was trouble. Hit his mother, hit his grandmothers, steal from the other two, trouble going to school, want to run everything, always want to be in control. He just wanted everything his way. He was the devil's spawn. I took a lot on. 3 kids, her. I took on what no man would, I believe. But I did it. I loved them. I loved her.
When Nicholas was around 13, he was moved into foster care, run by the Department of Children, Youth and Families. He lived at various group homes where troubled teenagers are placed under one roof. It was at this time Nicholas got his first job at Rhode Island State House. He worked with politicians, helping them with paperwork and other administrative duties. The most common word used by those who knew Nicholas Alaverdian during his time here at the State House was persistent.
Yeah,
They
right.
say he was a man who refused
I hear
to
you,
take
Katie.
no for an answer. Hi, Brian.
Why?
This guy's such a great guy.
Pleasure.
I got to get him
Former
in
State
here.
Representative Brian Kugan took Nicholas under his wing. He initially thought the teenager was a genuine hard worker who had an unusually keen interest in the law for someone so young.
He kept asking me to adopt him because he didn't have any family and he was in a group home and a foster home and he was going to live on this very street, a couple houses down.
Why didn't you adopt him?
He called me up one day. He said, "Rep, you got to come down to court. You got to come down to court. They're trying to get rid of me." So I get down to the courthouse, and as soon as I walk up, he grabs me, hugs me, and embraces me like I was the only thing he had in this world. I said, "Nick, whoa, what's going on?" He says, "They're trying to get rid of me. You got to help me." And I went in with the judge, and he said to me, he goes, "See this file right here?" He had a file on Nick. So all the times that he was telling you and the other reps up the state house that he was being abused, cuts and bruises, those were all self-inflicted. He goes, "I can't let you adopt him."
Brian decided
Self-inflicted.
not to adopt Nicholas, even though the teenager claimed everything the judge said was a lie. Nicholas stayed in foster care and lived in Florida until he was 18. When he returned to Rhode Island, he took his claims of abuse to the next level. This is where Nicholas Alaverdian returned in his 20s to walk the halls of power in an attempt to gain support for his campaign to improve the children's welfare system.
And I was subjected
Look at
to
this.
torture, beatings, assault in various forms. I was refused to contact anybody at all.
It was at this time he met Representative Ray Hull. Together they worked on legislation to improve the lives of children in care. Was Nicholas Alaverdian one of those kids who fell through the cracks?
Yes, absolutely. Or why would he be advocating so much to make the change if he wasn't one of them that fell through the cracks? He was a young individual with some tenacity that wanted to change the world.
I mean, I get it. I understand that, but it doesn't necessarily give you the right to be a criminal. It doesn't necessarily give you the right to be deceiving. It doesn't necessarily give you the right and the power to force yourself on women. It's not the right way to go about things. All right, let's keep playing through here.
And you could really latch onto him. I'm thinking, wow, here is a young fella coming to us, our committee, and explaining why he needs changes in DCYF. He knows it because he lives it.
Around the same time, Nicholas was openly advocating against abuse. He had sexually assaulted a young woman in Ohio in 2008.
So we met at the campus cafeteria. He said, "Do you mind if I walk you to your class?" So when me and him were walking into the basement, he starts attacking me, trying to kiss me rough against my face. He had his hands up my shirt, down my pants. And at that point, I ran up to my class and I was like, this is, I think, just the safest place for me to go right now. And then I come out and he's waiting for me. And I'm so sorry. I got caught up. I'm so sorry. I couldn't resist. You were just so pretty, and just giving me the whole line. And then I go and I report what happened to the police.
This happened in January 2008, and he was then sentenced in May of that year.
He gets sentenced. The judge does find him guilty in my case. He had to register as a sex offender every year for 15 years. And that part was hard for me because I was like, well, what if I'm ruining his life? But at the same time, I was like, if someone could have spoke up and prevented what happened to me, would I have wanted them to? Yeah, I was like, let's end the cycle here. Let's get it documented, because I don't know why, but it felt very orchestrated and rehearsed.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Great.
Nicholas was initially wanted by U.S. authorities over one charge of rape in Utah, dating back to 2008. He has now been served with 2 more extradition requests from his state, one relating to the rape of a woman in Salt Lake City, and another for a sexual assault in the city of Orem. Investigations have also been carried out into various counts of fraud.
Look at this.
He's been married several times. One in Ohio lasted just 7 months. Brian claims Nicholas's second wife never knew about her husband's criminal record, and she told him she was abused from day one.
He called me up one day and he says, Rep, I want to take you to dinner. I got married. I said, again? Because he was supposed to be married like 3 or 4 times. He said, I want you to meet my wife, Catherine. We met at a restaurant in downtown Providence, a fancy restaurant called Fleming's. And talking to his wife, very lovely girl, pure as snow, salt of the earth, very religious. So we parted ways, and then they went back to Dayton, Ohio. She called me up a couple of weeks after that, and she was horrified into the phone. Nick was locking her in the bathroom. He stole her identity. He got credit cards in her name, and she was just on the horrors. I said, Catherine, I said, you call the police? She goes, I call the police. I'm going to get away from him.
Well, what was your reaction when you got that phone call?
I was horrified.
And keep in mind, this guy kept a book on everybody that he came in contact with. That's one thing that Kugan told me. He knew everybody and all their business at the House of Representatives. He knew all the reps. He kept things and wrote meticulous notes on people so we could use that information against them. And again, I'll drop that interview at the end of this live tonight. You want to go back and watch this. And I want to get Brian in here to do an updated interview with me and talk about Nicholas Rossi. All right, let's keep going.
I couldn't believe it. I started Googling Nick's name, and I used all his aliases. I found out he's a registered sex offender. He's suing people. People are suing him. He's got all sorts of court cases going on. Nick's a weird kid. I said I would help him out with some money. You need to get an apartment. And Nick had called me. He goes, oh, can you help me out? Can you help me out? And I said, yeah, Nick, I'll help you out. And I just decided not to. Why should I, I've given him money before. I loaned him money. Never paid me back. He says, you said you would. I said, no, I didn't. So we went right to his phone. He went to my folder.
See?
He went to the date and he played it back for me.
Folder, see?
How crazy is that?
He keeps folders, I told you.
So I said, Nick, what is that about? He goes, I record every phone conversation and I file them. I put them in a file.
Unbelievable.
It's a dangerous kid.
It's believed around 2017, Nicholas left the United States and travelled to Europe. Ray hadn't spoken to Nick in some time and then received a phone call from him to say he was unwell. At this stage, the state representative said he had no idea that the man he was speaking to was a registered sex offender facing further allegations.
I get a phone call once or twice. I'm in Russia now. I have a sickness and he's going to be treated. And so that goes on. And then I get another call, I'm dying.
Yeah, this is all
I said,
bullshit.
Joel, you can beat this. You'll be fine. His voice was scratchy. It's all coming back to me now. He was labored. I felt kind of sorry for the guy, and I encouraged him. I said, I'll pray for you. This is not the end. There were many other people who come through this, and keep your chin up. You'll be fine.
Police agencies were tracking Nicholas and had asked those closest to him to try and flush him out.
Next thing you know, I have the U.S. Marshals coming to my house. I had the FBI from Ohio call me. I had the FBI from Providence, Rhode Island call me.
Yep.
And they're all looking for him.
Was Nicholas Alaverdian still alive?
Yes, he was still alive. And he was calling me every now and then. And when he called me, I said, Nick, you got everybody looking for you. You got serious charges. He was calm and cool on the phone, talk like a lawyer.
Hey, Danny, how are you?
Misunderstanding. And you almost want to believe him.
Where was he? Where did he say he was?
I asked him where he was at. He says, I'm in another country. I'm nowhere around. They're never going to find me. He says, I'm married with 2 kids now. I said, married with 2 kids? I said, what'd you do? Add water? Was it like oatmeal? The very last time I talked to him, he called me and goes, Rap. I said, Nick, what's the matter with your voice? I'm dying. I'm in a hospital bed. I'm dying. I said, what's wrong with you? He goes, I got 2 weeks to live. I said, what's wrong with you? He says, I have lymphoma. I have cancer. I have this. I said, really? I said, listen, you cockroach. I said, cockroaches don't die. I said, you're not dying. I said, you're a sexual predator and you're trying to escape. You're faking your death.
The gentleman talking right now, his name is Brian Kugan. He was a former Rhode Island state representative, and he knew Nicholas at his time when he was a rep at the state house in Rhode Island. This case is central focus in and around Rhode Island. And I had Kugan on my show back in February. Like I said, I'll drop the link to that interview at the end of the show. And I'm going to get him back in here. I'm going to reach out to him and have him come in and sit and do an updated interview here inside the studio. So I'm looking forward to meeting with him again. All right, cockroach has me dead. Yeah. All right, let's keep playing here.
You are not dying. He goes, stop talking to me like that. I want to have peace with you. I'm on my deathbed. I said, and I was swearing at it. I was
cockroach.
Like foaming at the mouth. I said, you're a liar. I said, you're in a lot of trouble. They're going to get you. You can't hide from the law. I said, you know the old saying, the long arm of the law. They're going to get you, Nick.
Live and local news and information on WPRO, Providence, a Cumulus station.
Sad news to pass along. The voice you've heard on the air here on WPRO. Nicholas Alaverdian, he has passed away from a long battle with cancer, leaving his wife and 2 children. Nicholas Alaverdian was 32.
His passing is a very, very sad incident for us. And may you rest in peace, Nicholas.
Next thing I hear a call from his wife, which I didn't know he was married. She's asking me to present the official proclamation of the passing of Nicholas Alaverdian as a memorial from the State House official.
Which you did?
Of course.
How do you feel about that now?
Well, from what I know now,
so what I should have known
then,
right?
I feel kind of, disappointed, but
duped.
I would still do it again for the person that I know who died or passed away.
It gets crazy.
Not
it's
thinking
crazier, believe me.
That he might have set this up himself.
It's gonna get wild now. It's gonna get wild.
Attempts were made to hold a memorial service at 2 separate churches. The priest here was told to cancel the mass by police. Officers believe that Nicholas Alaverdian may have been vain enough to attempt to attend the service himself to hear the tributes being paid.
What did you think when you saw that obituary?
I was furious. I said, this kid is a con artist, is what he is.
The obituary did raise a few eyebrows in Rhode Island, and suspicion quickly spread. I visited the pub where Nick gains a reputation for his gift of the gab and drinking ability. The achievement of downing 300 pints is celebrated on the walls of the Wicked Inn.
They had a nickname for him here.
That's right. They called him 3 Questions Nick, because Nick would just pepper them with questions. And then they had a house rule that he was only allowed 3 questions or they would cut him off. So he was known as 3 questions Nick.
Nicholas Aliverdian, according to everyone, died.
Yes.
Did you believe that
No,
Nick died?
Especially the crew
Who's your
here,
favorite person? This
they
guy here?
smelled a rat almost immediately.
That's your favorite person?
Didn't I tell you when the obituary came out? Wasn't I the first to say
Yes,
it?
you were.
What did you say?
Nick's not dead. Nick wrote his own obituary.
I was more credulous because I was contacted by his family to speak at his memorial.
Unreal.
And his supposed wife called me from Europe. The last time I spoke to Nick, he said he was living in Western Ireland. So I said to this woman, well, how are you doing in Western Ireland? She said, what are you talking about? I live in Geneva. I went, oh, that's interesting. But she said Nick wanted
I agree.
service because he loved what you wrote about him. And I thought, what did I write about?
Hey, Mary, how are you? Welcome in.
And so she read me this very full quote of fulsome praise for him. And I said, I didn't write that. She said, oh, well, no, Nick cherished it.
Do you doubt it all? Everything? Or
Mary,
do you
I feel
think-
like we're back to the old days.
I doubt
when it first
everything.
started.
I have no idea. I don't know him.
We're back to the
I
old
thought I knew,
days.
but I don't. And I certainly doubt every aspect of his biography that he told me.
Over in the UK, a man calling himself Nicholas Brown married a woman called Miranda Knight on February 22nd, 2020, a week before the date of death stated on Nicholas Aliverdian's obituary. This man began working for a Canadian woman who's expanding her business across the pond, but things quickly turned sour. She now believes the person she employed was Nicholas Aliverdian.
I knew him as Nicholas Brown. In January 2020 is when we started. And by the end of the month, I was not very happy. He seemed passionate. He seemed like he was determined. But then one day I just had enough and I texted him because I didn't want to tell him verbally on the phone because he was very aggressive sometimes. And then that's when he started to show me his smear campaign that he prepared. I lost a lot of money, not just the 40 grand, but hundreds of thousands because I had to do damage control. I don't think I'm going to ever see that money. Like I spoke to criminal lawyers over here and they're like, don't even bother. He cons somebody and uses that money to con the next person. I'd be very happy though just to see him remain behind bars.
Reports have emerged of claims of fraud.
No, watch this.
In particular, a newspaper report from a Canadian businesswoman.
Yes, a Canadian business. I worked with that Canadian businesswoman, and I would love to show you how I worked for her day and night, irrespective of time zone, and even enlisted my wife to help me work with her because she was so demanding.
I mean, you can't make this up.
Early 2022, and a man claiming to be Arthur Knight was taken into custody after.
So here's the thing that I can tell you. My dad is on 24-hour oxygen, okay? And his tanks are long and cylinder like this. This guy went out and got the most obnoxious. My dad's like, he doesn't need that oxygen tank. Is obnoxious. It's obnoxiously large. It's all for optics, believe me. He's like, I don't even know how he got that thing. But watch this oxygen tank.
For fears he posed a flight risk. Just weeks earlier, he had been arrested while being treated for COVID in a Glasgow hospital, as the American authorities believed he was Nicholas Aliverdian. Since news of his arrest, more women have spoken about their experiences of Nicholas's behaviour.
Caught in Scotland last month. A man who made a name for himself in Rhode Island before we were told he died 2 years ago.
This is movie stuff.
Despite making international headlines following repeated court appearances, this accused man didn't shy away from the spotlight and was keeping a keen eye on how events were being reported in Rhode Island.
We were going to run this story, who he was and kind of his background here and how things got to where they were. And we interviewed people who had known him. And the day before the story was going to run, Arthur Knight called our newsroom looking to talk to the boss, and basically talked to my boss on the phone for about an hour. I did an interview with him and his wife, and that was kind of the first one, and it snowballed from there. And then he would keep calling and trying to say, you should look into this and you should look into that, and things about the prosecutor in Utah. But it just struck me as, why would somebody who claims they're not the person from Rhode Island care so much about what the news is reporting in Rhode Island? Except these are the news media outlets that he would have grown up watching and listening to and reading.
Yeah.
Is the game up for you?
Look at this.
The game is just started. The game is afoot.
Even in Scotland, Arthur Knight was pushing his plea, claiming he was an Irish orphan who had changed his first name due to childhood trauma. He said he took his wife's surname when they married. The couple invited me into their Glasgow home and insisted Arthur was still suffering from long COVID and that this was all a case of mistaken identity.
The truth needs to be known. So why am I speaking to you? Why is my wife speaking to you? Because we care about our life and our love.
This has all happened the dates before you knew him.
This Nicholas Rossi, when you actually read about what he's done, he seems to have done it consistently through his life. So why is it literally going to stop when he meets me? I know my husband. He would never put me at risk. He would never hurt me, abuse me, do anything like what I read about this Nicholas Rossi.
There is no evidence whatsoever that there are tattoos, and I've shown that to news reporter.
He is doing this voice like this. Oh, man.
News reporter after news reporter.
Intensive care staff from the Glasgow hospital where he was arrested told the extradition hearing about seeing distinctive arm tattoos on their patient while they treated him for COVID. These appeared similar to the images held by Interpol.
He's got the same tattoos.
During his evidence in court this week, the man himself claimed he had gone into hospital without any markings and had been tattooed while in a coma for 18 days.
He said that he got tattooed while he was in this coma, this COVID coma. That's how he got the identifiable tattoos on him. I mean, you can't make this up. It's crazy. I mean, you can't make this
Professor
up.
Brown University, yep, with the red and you got the black right there.
A tattoo artist from Nicholas's hometown says his distinct ink could have been removed over time, but markings may still be visible.
That top one would be a little tough because it does look like there's some scar tissue that would be going on with the books that are open. And then, of course, with the red.
And can you treat the scarring?
You probably could. You'd have to probably go to a dermatologist for that to see. Again, depends on how deep it is, too.
I'm assuming all this removal is very expensive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it can be very expensive. So that's why I tell people, if you're going to get tattooed, make sure it's what you want, because it hurts a lot more and it's a lot more expensive to remove it. So,
It's gonna hurt to get it out.
It's now official. Arthur Knight is Nicholas Rossi, aka Nicholas Alaverdian. It's a court decision those in Rhode Island suspected all along.
You can't make this
but it
up.
hasn't erased their pain of being lied to by a man they thought they knew.
See that mask and wheelchair? That's bull. That's bull. There's nothing wrong with him. He's faking for sympathy, trying to get off.
From what I'm hearing now and all the stuff that's coming out, my head spins sometimes. It's like, wow. It's on him now to come forward. It's on him to say, hey, I did this.
Is Arthur Knight Nicholas Rossi?
Yeah.
Nicholas Alaverdian, as you know?
I would bet my life on it.
Yeah.
That's Nicholas Alaverdian.
It's funny because there's a segment. I couldn't find it. I was going to find it and see if I could play it, but they had Brian Kugan FaceTime Nicholas Rossi and say, "What's up, Nick? How are you?" And Rossi's going, "I can't hear the gentleman. I can't see him." And he's like, "Dude, you know who it is. It's Kugan." And he's like, "I cannot hear him. I cannot see him." It's crazy. It's crazy. Donnie, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. I appreciate that. Welcome in new members, part of the Go Squad. You get access to all the members only content on my homepage. And you can watch all that. We do members only lives like once a week. So it's insane. I mean, this case is
Nick's
just
getting all this publicity, but it is about
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So interesting because it's just like the little lies then are just these grand lies now that he uses as like a building block of who he
predator.
is. and how he's important.
If you could say anything to him, what would you say?
Smarten up. You're still young. Do the right thing. You know, you hurt a lot of people. End it. Do your time. End it.
Wild. Do I have everybody captivated now? Let me know in the chat. Give me a yes or a no. Do I have you captivated now? Let me know. I'm probably sure that I do. But we're gonna go on here. We'll play some more clips, and then we'll get into some of the court hearings in the most recent court hearing. Let's see. I gotta play. I have to play this one. This is so good. Watch this. These clips are wild. But I'm glad that like some new information came out about this. All right, check this out. This clip is insane. He's going to lose his oxygen tank on his way to court in Scotland, where he was fighting this extradition for like almost 2 years. And then finally they said, dude, you're Nicholas Rossi. You need to go to America and face these charges. All right, check this out. Watch this. This is wild. Look. This wheelchair goes. Look at the oversized tank. And this reporter is trying to talk to him. Look at how fast that wheelchair is. Look at this. Look at this. He's got the mask on still and no tank attached to the... Look at this thing. He's doing the peace sign. I mean, you can't make this. Look at him. Look at the peace sign. Look at the tank. Look how big it is. I mean, you can't make this up. Right? This is so ridiculous. I mean, he looks like a villain from like a Batman movie, right? Doesn't he look like a villain from like a Batman movie? You know, I get it. We're laughing here. It's comedy, but just keep in mind, this guy is very methodical, and he's a criminal, and he's been accused of some very, very serious crimes from women. So I want everybody to keep that in mind. I get it. He just looks like a bat. He looks like the Penguin. I mean, he looks like a Batman villain. It's insane. Look at him.
Your oxygen mask is off.
And the oxygen mask is off.
Going into your mask.
Look at it, it's not even hooked up.
Without an abuser. Would all of you like to see a video of this woman, Jane McSorley, assaulting and abusing me in my own home in front of Craig Johnson? I need oxygen. I can't breathe. No, I'm not on any oxygen.
Someone just... Can you move your arm, please, so I can get to it?
I mean, she's in on this shit,
This
too.
woman assaulted me in my own home. I have a video, which I will provide for your evidence.
I did not assault you.
You did, and you insinuated that I was unfaithful to my wife with you. You insinuated that I was unfaithful to my wife with you.
Come on, then, let's get
There's no captions.
Unfaithful to my wife with you, and it's all on video and audio recording. It's all on video and audio recording. The text messages.
And they're just trying to get him into the courtroom. Look at the tank. Victory. Look how fast this thing goes. Look at the chair. It's hauling ass. It's the fastest wheelchair I've ever seen. This is, I mean, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. I know, right, Teresa? He had to have, right? The V8 wheelchair. Okay. All right, let's go to some more clips here, and then we'll get into some of the most recent court hearings. Let me just go here. I'm going to share my screen here in a minute. I hope you're all enjoying this again, going back and looking at this, reviewing this and getting caught up on the most recent information here. All right, let's pull this one up here. More ridiculousness. Here we go.
Tonight, a Scottish judge ruling that this man, who is wanted by American prosecutors on rape charges, can be extradited to the United States.
I conclude that he is as dishonest and deceitful as he is evasive and manipulative.
He swears he is Arthur Knight, an Irish orphan, sick and in a wheelchair, unfairly thrust into an international manhunt.
I do not prefer to be called Arthur Knight. I am Arthur Knight.
But U.S. and Scottish authorities say that is an elaborate lie, and he is actually Nicholas Rossi, an international fugitive
identity changes.
wanted on a rape charge in Utah under that name, but also known as Nicholas Alaverdian in Rhode Island. A man who thought he could fake his own death, flee the country, and create a new life to avoid prosecution, investigators say.
In a sentence, how would you describe Nicholas Rossi?
Nicholas Rossi is a pathetic character.
I am not Nicholas Alaverdi, and I do not know how to make this clearer.
He stuck to his story in an interview with Dateline's Andrea Canning.
People say that's an act. Let me try to stand up. Let me try to stand up. Exactly.
Authorities say they were able to identify him by distinctive tattoos.
Tattoos and DNA matches.
In late 2021, his identity already in the system for a previous sex crime conviction. David Leavitt was the Utah County attorney who charged Nicholas Rossi in the outstanding Utah rape case.
Are you confident this man is Nicholas Rossi?
Well, I've never met
1000%.
Nicholas Rossi, and I've never met Arthur Knight. What I can say is that the fingerprints match, the tattoos match. I'm confident that when we start looking at DNA, it matches the photograph match.
Right?
Today in court, his lawyer saying extradition would be a violation of Rossi's
Welcome in,
human
everybody.
rights
Welcome in.
due to health concerns. Rossi lashing out, calling the sheriff in charge a disgrace to justice. But for those who have worked the case in Utah,
I mean, it's him. I mean, look at
it.
You can tell by the eyes.
The upcoming extradition will be a giant leap towards justice.
And with that, Ellison now joins us in studio. So, Ellison, I guess the next question is, when will we see Rossi here on U.S. soil?
We don't know for sure. It could happen really any day. Ultimately, what this judge decided is that there is no legal barrier to extradition. Now, since they say this is Nicholas Rossi, his case will go through the normal extradition
And he
process.
has been
It goes to the
extradited. These
Scottish
are old
ministers
clips.
Next, basically, Scottish government, they'll make a decision on whether or
Yeah, his
not
DNA
to
matches
extradite him.
All right, Ellison,
on one of
Barber,
the
that very bizarre
victims.
story. We appreciate it.
Okay. Let's go through a couple more clips, and then we'll get to the most recent court hearings. Actually, we're at the court hearings now. Cool. All right, actually, I got one here real quick. Let's play this about a minute. Check this one out. Check this clip out, and then we're going to get to the most recent court hearings. This is the one who does the ready. Here we go.
We were once a normal family, but thanks to the media, our lives have been interrupted. And we'd like privacy, and I would like to go back to being a normal husband. But I can't, because I can't breathe. I can't walk. People say that's an act. Let me try to stand up. Let me try to stand up. Exactly.
What do you say to someone who believes that you are Nicholas Alaverdian?
I am not, Andrea. I am not Nicholas Alaverdi, and I do not know how to make this clearer.
What do you say to people who say these are crocodile tears? He's putting on a show. This is all an act.
Oh,
Andrea,
no,
that's a low blow. That's a right low blow.
Unreal, right? Unreal. All right. So Alaverdian had now since been extradited back to the United States. The Scotland court sent him back to Utah to face these charges. This was the first appearance in a Utah court, and you're going to get to understand here, and then we'll go to the most, excuse me, then we'll go to the most current hearing that he just had back in August. And we'll hear that one as well, too. So here we go. This hearing's about 5 minutes, and this gets very interesting. Watch this.
Number 36, State versus Rossi. 6768.
That is his wife.
Are you Mr. Rossi? Are you Mr. Rossi?
So essentially, the judge here is asking him, are you Mr. Rossi? And he said, no, milady, no, milady. And he's going to keep saying that he's Arthur Knight. Look at the beard is much grown out. He's gained some more weight. The hair is all grown out. I mean, he's hiding his appearance. I don't think there's any caption on this, but we'll try.
Take that off just to talk. So shame, lady.
No, milady.
Is that a yes? I'm having a hard time.
My name is Arthur Knight, right?
I think I'm going to have the jail restate what he said. Having a really hard time hearing him.
What is it?
My name is Arthur Knight.
He says his name is Arthur Knight. Brown?
Arthur Knight Brown.
I can't hear. You want to have him state his name and date of birth?
Yeah, we can't hear him at all. Can you ask him, can you please state your name and date of birth?
Hey, get a little closer.
This is so absurd.
Lady, my name is Arthur Knight Brown. My date of birth is 22nd of the 11th, 1986.
Look at this.
Okay, I don't.
I think we're having a problem with understanding who this person is.
I don't.
I agree,
This is
Amber.
not number 36.
Hey, Scott.
Your Honor, we've got him as Nicholas Rossi, but he's saying his name is Arthur Knight Brown.
Oh, that's one of the AKAs.
The judge is trying to put an end to this shit.
We're having a really. Is it July 11th, 1987?
No, my lady, it's 22nd of November, 1986.
22nd of November, 1986.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, Tamara Vasquez for the state. This individual has been extradited, and he has not admitted his name or birth date accurately, and so I don't think we're going to be successful on that today either. It's also known as.
Objection, my lady. That is complete hearsay, and I would ask your ladyship that the prosecution show cause for why they
this is so cringy.
Proceeded
So, Mr. Knight, I'm going.
Whilst I had an appeal pending in the Supreme Court.
Mr. Knight, I'm going to appoint a lawyer for you. There's a no bail warrant in this case, so we're going to set it for a detention hearing in 10 days. And I'm also ordering that you not have any contact.
And if we can have the alleged victim's name protected.
Oh, okay.
Let's keep changing.
Well, how was he supposed to know who not to have any contact with?
We're going to have to get the no contact order form given to him personally.
Okay. All right. So I am ordering that you not have any contact with the person who's going to remain confidential until you get a copy of the no contact order. So hopefully that makes sense. And when you get the order, you can see who it is. I'm also ordering that you be given a copy of your charge. It is a first-degree felony from November 1st, 2008.
You're right, Servo.
Yes, from November 1st, 2008. So you'll get a copy of that. Your next hearing will be in front of Judge Lawrence.
She's not having it. She's
January
fuck off.
26th,
You're going to
1 o'clock,
You're going to
Judge
these
Lawrence,
hearings.
and that will be a detention.
I like this judge. Fuck it.
Your Honor, before we go, would the court ask the bailiff if defendant has been fingerprinted and photographed as part of being booked under this OTN number?
I'm not sure, but if the court will, send notification to our records department, they can follow up and make sure it's been done.
Okay, I will make that order.
Judge
I'm ordering that he be fingerprinted and photographed.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Knight, we're finished.
I have an attorney, Lance Bastian.
Okay, well, your attorney can show up at the next hearing, and then we'll vacate the appointment of a legal defender.
We haven't been notified of any hearing.
Cut his microphone off.
Well, Judge, we'll give him the information. He can relay it to his attorney about the next hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
All right. So we had that hearing in January. He was supposed to come back for some other hearings, and he literally would not leave his jail cell. I think they tried to get him back in March as well. And then finally, they got him here in August 25th, 2024 was his next hearing. We're going to play that, and you're going to hear all of the related charges that he's facing here in Utah. He's finally behind bars where he needs to be. This guy is an extreme danger to society. And, you know, the game is over. The gig is up. You've been caught now, dude. And you're definitely going to face justice. All right, let's play that most recent hearing from Utah in the courtroom. We'll sit back and hear about Nicholas Rossi, Alaverdian, a.k.a. Arthur Knight. Here he is. Beard is gone. He's looking a little bit more like Alaverdian now. Rossi, correct? Still get the oxygen on, but now it's a tube oxygen. An interesting character. Like I said, it's like a villain out of a Batman movie. Yeah, he finally made it into the courtroom. They essentially just dragged him in. I want to see what the notes are. It'd be great, right? What are the notes? I know. Look at that, Debbie, right? Probably made him do it. Yeah, exactly, Scott. Yep, no mask. Got the tube oxygen now. Probably the court made him do it. Like, you're not going to come in here with this ridiculous mask. We need to hear what you're, we need to hear what you're saying. Myth says he's writing the next list of his aliases. Yeah, or maybe the ones that he used, we could get them all straight, right? let's move up to the hearing. Okay, here we go.
All right.
You're going to hear from one of the detectives. You're going to hear from one of the detectives during this hearing that was involved in this this case. All right, here we go.
All right, welcome everybody. We have our attorneys here. Mr. Knight is here. Good afternoon,
Mr. Knight.
Counsel, you ready?
They're calling him by Mr. Knight. They are calling him by Mr. Knight. Unreal.
Proceed. The state is ready, Your Honor. Okay. Who's your first witness? First, the state would move to admit what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 1. It is an 1102 statement from victim.
I'll turn
MS.
captions on.
Any objection, Ms. Dugan?
Is that going to help?
Yes and no. I mean, I think the rule requires some foundation to be laid before the 1102 is admitted to the court, so I'd ask that they lay the foundation through agent codes, just sort of procedurally. I do have some objections to certain content in the 1102, but it's really more on the basis of relevance and the hope that the court is not considering certain components of the 1102 statement and making a binding decision.
All right. Mr. Simmons? I disagree about the necessary foundation, but it's also no problem to lay some foundation and then make the request again.
We'll keep him on. Kind of hard to hear in that courtroom.
Detective Derek Coates. All right, Detective Coates, please step forward, stand in front of my clerk, and raise your right hand so we can administer the oath.
So this is one of the deputies in the case.
Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the case now before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do. All right, have a seat, watch your step.
Before we get into this testimony again, I just want to thank everybody for coming to the channel. I know, we're doing some off-brand stuff here. I know it's been very Karen Reed's central focus for the last year. I've kind of taken a little bit of a step back and wanted to dive back into some of the cases that I first started doing here on the channel, because there's been a lot of important updates that I haven't been able to get to. And I thought right now that we have a little bit of lull in the Karen trial, that this would be a great opportunity to come back and revisit those and kind of expand the channel here. Again, I have a really interesting guest. I cannot wait for this on this Saturday coming up at 7 p.m. Ken Baer will be here live in studio. He's a guy that was a former drug kingpin and flipped and became a DEA informant. So I'm very excited to hear Ken's story. He's going to come in and sit down live here in studio, bring some copies of his books. He's going to have some artifacts that he used to use to do his smuggling. So he's going to show a lot of that stuff off here in the studio. I think it's going to be very exciting. And then today, I had an excellent opportunity. Justin Root's sister, Jennifer, actually reached out to me. I met her back at the Labor Day Karen Reed standout, and she came to me and started talking to me about Justin's story and said, hey, I would love to come on your show and tell you his story. She reached out to me today. We had about an hour conversation on the phone, and she will be here live in studio at 8 p.m. on Sunday night. And I cannot wait to sit next to her and have her tell us about Justin's story. And she will be bringing in some evidence that she has collected in Justin's case and show us some photos. And that's going to be a really interesting live too. So I'm very excited. And, it's a little bit of a new turn or kind of going back to the roots of the channel. I'm just trying to reach out and expand it now a little bit and get back into some of the things that I have previously done. I am not abandoning the Karen Reed case at all, but I'm just trying to kind of dust up on some old cases here that have been things that I was into at one point and spent significant amount of time on them. And I think to do the due diligence and do those updates, it's warranted, it's warranted on this channel. So I appreciate all of you. I understand this is not Karen Reed material. I know that the last year I've been kind of cultivated into kind of this circle or bubble of certain subscribers who have come to the channel, but it really means a lot to me when you can come in and watch these off-brand streams. And, I want to do more of this. You're going to see more of this here and actually having human guests in the studio. It's why I built the studio to do this. Is going to just improve and make things a lot better here at LTL. So I'm not abandoning Karen. It's just a good time right now to kind of dust up on some of this stuff, expand out the algorithm a little bit more, bring in some new subscribers, and go from there. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I see a lot of the Go Squad in here, the hardcore members, and I really do appreciate you supporting me here. And even if you're not here live, if you come back and just watch this on replay, that means a lot to me as well too. So, all right, let's keep playing on in this court case, and we'll go here. So here we go.
Could you state your name and spell your last name for the record? My name is Derek Coates, Coats. All right, whenever you're ready, counsel.
Up a little bit from me.
Is it okay if I call you Detective Coates?
Yes.
Where do you work now?
Good, we did turn captions on.
Department of Corrections.
Where did you work from 2018 to 2023?
I work for the Utah Department of Public Safety.
And what was your assignment with the Utah Department of Public Safety?
I was assigned to specifically the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative. That was a federal grant funding any work around investigating cases that had not been previously investigated or tested under the Sexual Assault Kit program.
So were those generally older cases?
Correct.
Thank you, Miss. Appreciate you being here.
What
Thank
was
you, Cindy.
your first involvement in the cases involving suspect Nicholas
Yeah,
Rossi?
you're right, Bonnie.
So as a part of my job, I was reviewing CODIS hits as they came through the state crime lab.
Can I stop you there and ask you what a CODIS hit is?
CODIS,
It's
DNA.
through the Combined DNA Index System. It's a federal program where DNA profiles are stored for law enforcement to compare DNA
Thank you, Spacey.
from forensic samples in criminal cases.
And what is a CODIS hit? What does it mean when there's a CODIS hit?
A CODIS hit indicates it's a letter returned back to the law enforcement agency that submitted a DNA sample for testing, or that had been tested and then sought to be identified. And in this case, and remind me of the question I was trying to get at it.
What a hit is, what that indicates.
So the hit,
October,
there
there'll be
is
some
a
updates.
potential match within the system, and there's a verification process that happens in between that. Then it's submitted back to the agency, and it's treated as an investigative lead for law enforcement to follow up on.
Okay. So in effect, would a hit be? Would another way to say that be that a hit is when
I do have PayPal.
A sample that we have, for example, in Utah matches a DNA sample somewhere else? And I realize I'm using the word match very generally.
Yeah, I understand what you're getting at. Yes, so in this case, this CODIS hit that we observed was a match to an offender out of Ohio.
And where was the Utah
Click on that
DNA
link.
sample from? What part of Utah?
That was from Utah County.
Okay. And did you get involved in the investigation after notifying Utah County of that CODIS hit?
I did.
When did you get? Did there come a point when you effectively started to lead the investigation?
Yes.
Approximately when was that?
I want to say it was around. I had started working it between the summer of 2019 and winter of 2020, and then Forum requested around 2020 that I take lead on the case.
Okay. So what kind of case was the Utah? So I'm asking for the just very general, because we're not here for the Utah County case today. Just asking what kind of allegation was made in the Utah County case, and when did that allegation come from?
Okay, so the case in Utah County was a reported, again, sexual assault. And so the DNA from that sexual assault kit was submitted for testing under the SAKI program, as I described earlier. And so that case required an investigation and follow-up, which then led to other information.
When and where was the sexual assault in Utah County alleged to have happened?
Best recollection, I'm sorry, it's been a minute since I've looked at it. It was 2008. I remember that. It was around the summer, the late spring, or like spring, summer of 2008.
Okay. And was that in what city was it in?
Orem was the reporting agency.
Okay.
Orem.
So
I've been Ogden, Utah before. I spent time there.
And I'm sorry, I've just forgotten your answer. When did you, approximately when did you say you kind of took the lead in the investigation in that Orem case?
I don't remember the specific, but it was in 2020. It was like right on the cusp of December, January.
Okay. Did you hear, so I'm jumping forward in time now. Did there start to be media attention about that investigation and the subsequent investigation later on?
Yes.
As a result of that media attention, did you hear from anyone in?
Yeah, and keep this in mind. I mean, this is a great point up. Shantae is saying is, you know, this victim had to wait a long time. The only reason we're here, not today, but in August, finally getting this guy extradited back to the United States, is because they actually held on to that sample. If they would have thrown that out, this guy would have walked free and clear. He'd probably be somewhere else doing the same thing over and over again. Thank God they held on to that sample.
Salt Lake County.
I did.
Who did you hear from?
So in this case, are we using initials or full name, or should you prefer?
State's preference would be initials.
Okay. So MS reached out and had indicated that she had had a relationship with the individual on the news media named Nicholas Rossi or Nicholas Alvarez. She knew him as Nicholas Rossi.
Okay. Did you interview her?
I did.
Do you remember when you interviewed her?
It was around 2021. I want to say, forgive me, I don't remember the exact date.
I noticed that you have what looks like a report next to you. Would looking at that report refresh your memory about when you interviewed her?
Yeah, that would actually.
If you would.
Sorry, I don't have that particular report at the top, so I don't want to.
No, not red Solo cups.
I apologize.
Have you seen a copy of State's Exhibit 1, which is the 1102 Statement of MS?
I have.
Would looking at that refresh your recollection?
No. Yes.
May I approach the witness?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Did that refresh your memory?
Yeah.
Do you remember approximately when you interviewed her?
I want to say it was January 14th, 2022.
Did she take you to see anything soon thereafter?
Yes.
What did she take you to see?
So based on the description that she had given, we attempted to locate a house in the area of Salt Lake City where she believed that the individual Nicholas Rossi was living at that time.
Quick, just want to recognize this. Melissa, thank you so much for the support, the $20. I appreciate that. I just saw that come through on PayPal. So thank you so much. Want to recognize that. Thank you all for your support. And again, we just had 5 new members just a little while ago, and welcome into the Ghost Squad. So thank you. I appreciate it.
And was she able to take you to a particular street, to a particular house?
She was.
Do you remember the address of that house?
853 Blair Street, as I recall.
Okay. And is that house in Salt Lake County?
Correct.
This hearing, let's see, it's a preliminary hearing.
Did she provide you
Essentially
with
just
any
establishing the
documents
case.
that she still had from, or sorry, let me ask you this. Do you remember approximately when, back up even one more step.
Probably discovery
And to
hearing,
just
I would
ask
say,
you,
right?
just looking for a very narrow answer here. What's the general category of the crime that she alleged Nicholas Rossi had committed?
That would be sexual assault.
And approximately when did she tell you that Nicholas Rossi had sexually assaulted her?
Just says preliminary hearing,
of
Scott.
2008.
Did she give you any documents from
Yes, sir.
from around that time, from around December of 2008, that were related to her?
Thank you, M. Appreciate you.
To her report.
Correct. Yes, she
Thank
did.
you, Bonnie.
What did she give you?
She didn't.
Your Honor, I'd be objecting on the basis of hearsay and relevance.
Overruled. Go ahead. She provided me a copy of a application for wedding rings to a Utah jewelry store at a local mall, and she also provided me cell phone records around that time.
So you've looked at State's Exhibit 1, an 1102 statement from MS. Is that exhibit generally consistent with the report that she made to you?
Yes.
Would move to admit State's Exhibit 1.
Okay. Objection to the record, Ms. Kugan?
Yeah, I don't have objection foundationally. I do have objections. That
Yeah, you're right, Scott.
in that argument. So can we just sort of table the admission of the 1102?
I will allow for the admission of Exhibit 1 conditionally, subject to whatever argument you may want to raise later. And obviously, this is only for purposes of today's hearing, but it will be admitted.
Okay. May I approach?
You know, and that's all by design, Scott. I mean, this guy knew his day was coming. You know, let's we'll leave the United States. We'll go to Scotland. We'll hide out. They'll never find me. And then lucky enough that this officer walked by and noticed the tattoos, and that's what essentially locked in Rossi for almost 2 years. Oh, excuse me, for fighting extradition, and then finally he's extradited back to the United States to face these charges in Utah. But this took like almost 4 years to get this guy back here, and rightfully so. I mean, he deserves to be where he is right now. He's committed a very serious crime. He's involved in other crimes that he needs to face, and people like this are extremely dangerous. Someone that's keeping a file on you in their phone of recorded conversations and screenshots, that's not a very nice person to be around. So let's see. Grumpy Bear says, LTL, I'm glad you're branching out, pursuing your dream as a private, reliable media source. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it. If you build it, they will come. Is that what they say? If you build it, they will come. And, it's just a little bit of a mental break, I guess. A little bit of a mental break. All right, let's continue on with this hearing. About another 15 minutes or so. Appreciate everybody being here. Make sure to smash the liketh button. All right, here we go. Just like lean forward so we can see them. Or lean back.
Your Honor, I would ask the court to review the 1102 statement at this time. It's going to provide a lot of context for subsequent testimony.
Excuse me.
All right. It's a little long. Give me a minute.
speed up a little bit here.
All right, counsel, we're ready. Go ahead.
Okay. As part, well, let me ask you this: did you do any investigation to connect the two addresses indicated by MS to Nicholas Rossi?
I had.
And what did you maybe just summarize for us? What sorts of records you reviewed, and whether or not they tended to corroborate that Nicholas Rossi had resided at those two addresses?
So I looked in court exchange for any activity that had occurred involving the name Nicholas Rossi, and I also looked in local police reports for any activity that had involved that same name.
Okay. And did you find any evidence connecting Nicholas Rossi to the 1362 South, 460 West Orem address?
I have.
And did you find records connecting him to that address?
I did.
And what about the 853 Blair Street address?
I had also located within Salt Lake City's record system and as a court and exchanged that address.
I heard she's in some legal battles over there. Miss, maybe you can clear that up. Is she in some legal battles with possible fraud? So it says his wife over here, meaning in Scotland, doesn't come up as cross as holding a full deck, as we say here. Not sure where she is now. Google Nicholas Rossi Endenberg, and there's lots of info on his time here. But I had heard that she's kind of caught up in some possible fraud. Was it like $2 or $3 million? I may be wrong on that. Maybe you can kind of fill in the gaps as you're over there. You're over in Scotland, so I'm sure this case or this wackadoo was pretty prevalent over there at the time. All right, let's keep playing on.
MS had reported something that happened back in December of 2008. As part of your investigation for the Orem case, had you researched the subsequent, the history, the location, and the identity of Nicholas Rossi after December, for where he went after December of 2008?
Yes.
So you mentioned DNA evidence that connected with the Orem case. Was where did you say that case was from?
The Orem case.
So sorry, the DNA that the CODIS hit so the CODIS hit from the Orem case. Where other than Orem, where was the CODIS hit to?
It connected out of Ohio.
And were you able to look
at
a
hit
case
in Ohio,
for Mr. Rossi in Ohio?
I have.
And approximately when was that case from?
That was late winter. I seem to recall around February, but it is 2008 as well, out of Montgomery County.
Earlier that same year?
Correct.
Okay. And was Nicholas Rossi convicted in that case in Ohio?
Yeah, that's my understanding, yes.
As a result of that conviction, was
okay, so, and it's probably going to say here, I'm just going to probably fill this in, and I don't even know, so I haven't watched this completely through, but I bet you they're going to say, did he have to supply his DNA? And that's what hit in CODIS versus this case in Utah. I'm probably going to make that assumption is what they're going to talk about here right now. All right, let's back up a little bit. Here we go. He was in Rhode Island,
Winter, I seem to recall around February, but it is 2008 as well.
All right, let's see if he had to supply DNA. I'm pretty sure that he had to be a registered sex offender. Malza, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Was Nicholas Rossi convicted in that case in Ohio?
All right, here we go.
As a result of that conviction, was he required to register as a sex offender?
Yeah. Yep.
And have you seen records of his sex offender registration connected to that case?
I have.
Mazza in the house.
Okay, now I want to ask you about, as you were investigating Mr. Rossi, what did you determine to be his, I mean, did you?
It was wrong on the DNA. It was wrong on the DNA, but his DNA did hit in Ohio. So because of the crime, they probably did a rape kit, and that's how they got the DNA. And then once convicted, registered sex offender. Once he was convicted there, flew out, got out of there, went to Utah, did the same crimes there, and then got out of the country and got to Scotland and assumed this identity of Arthur Knight. All right, a couple more minutes here. Appreciate you all. Just smash that like button. All right, here we go.
Did you find a birth certificate for him?
Yes.
What was his name at birth?
Your Honor, just before we go further, defense stipulates to identity.
I'm sorry?
Defense stipulates to identity.
Defense is stipulating to identity in this case?
Yes.
Here we go.
For purposes of preliminary hearing, for the purposes of this case, defense stipulates to identity.
Okay. So that, just to be clear, the defense is stipulating that the person identified by the victim, just for purposes of this hearing, is the defendant.
Defense stipulates to identity, yes.
Okay. If I could have just a moment.
Yeah.
So they're saying, no. I mean, look at this defense lawyer. She knows she's fucking lying. She knows she's lying. Oh God, that court mic is loud. I'm just gonna kill that sound until they come back. I think she is trying to block him. It's kind of funny that you said that. I think she is Daffy, but we'll wait for the sidebar to come back. I'll turn the audio back on. Oh, here we go. Here's Rossi right here. They're gonna show him. Look at this. That dude, that's him. That's freaking Nicholas Alaverdian. That's Nicholas Rossi. That is him. All right, we'll go back to audio. Here we go.
Your Honor, with the defense having stipulated to the identity in this case, the identity of the defendant, the state rests.
All right. Do you have any questions for us?
Just very briefly, Your Honor.
Sure.
Yeah, I know, right, Scott?
So Agent Coates, I just have like 2 to 3 questions for you. You no longer work for the Utah Department of Public Safety, correct?
I do not.
You work through the Department of Corrections.
I do.
Okay. And I just want to clarify sort of how you became involved in this case. So there was
Look at the notes.
CODIS hit out of a Utah County case, correct? There is no DNA in the Salt Lake County case to your understanding, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then are you involved in sort of investigating both of these cases or just the Salt Lake County case?
Both.
Okay. That's the only questions I have for this witness.
All right. Check it out. Thank you.
This is going to be, I'm telling you, I mean, if you're looking for one, this is one you're going to follow. I don't know how many more preliminary hearings we're going to get, but when this goes to trial, I'm sure that Court TV or Law and Crime are going to pick this case up. I mean, I'm actually excited to really cover it because, again, I had the opportunity to sit down and speak with Brian Kugan, that was a very close friend of Nicholas Alaverdian, Rossi, aka Arthur Knight, and I want to get him back in here and go through this again and have like a face-to-face with Brian, because Brian himself's even a character. He's great to listen to. He has a million stories and he's great at storytelling, and I got to get him in here and do some updated with him. All right, we're gonna go about another 10 minutes in this hearing. We'll do a wrap up and kind of outline what's going to happen here on the channel over the next couple of days. I appreciate everybody being here. Please make sure to smash the like button, and we'll keep on here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
The state rests. All right. Any evidence to the defense?
No, Your Honor. I have previously advised my client about his right to testify today. It is my advice with Mr. Rossi, as it is with all of my clients not testify at preliminary hearings, or given the standard that is a preliminary hearing, I do believe he intends to take my advice. Is that still the case?
Yes. All your,
You got to be kidding me.
is that correct? That's correct. Okay, any other evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, counsel, any argument?
I just have brief argument.
So she's calling him Rossi. That's interesting. She's calling him Rossi, right? And he's got a little bit of the accent, and I don't know what the hell happened to the camera. Of course, the dramatic moment that we're waiting to listen to, the camera pauses and freezes. But I heard a little bit of the accent there. It's still there, but she is calling him Rossi, which is very interesting. But the judge called him Knight. So what is it? What is it? Is he now thessing and saying, "Hey, I'm Nicholas Rossi. I'm here. I'm going to face and fight these charges because it's an old case"? I think that's what's going to kind of happen and go on here. So very interesting, though. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm going to get him back in, Scott. I'm going to get Kugan back in and sit down. All right, here we go.
As it relates to the 1102 statement, really just for the purposes of the record, candidly. So I sort of separated.
Thank you,
this
Murr. I
into
appreciate
different
that. Thank you.
Paragraphs, because
Thank
there's
you.
not page numbers and there's not like numbers of paragraphs. So just to be abundantly clear, I don't really have an objection to paragraph 1. I do have an objection to paragraph 2. I would ask that the court not consider it for purposes of preliminary hearing, just on the basis of relevance. Paragraph 3, I would object to everything after sentence 3 for the court to consider for purposes of preliminary hearing.
I want to get these documents.
Whether or not Mr. Rossi sexually assaulted MS in this particular case. As it relates.
Anybody in the chat room have access to the Utah courts? If you can, get me the filings. If not, I'll just probably have to try to FOIA and get them from the courthouse. But if anybody has access to these documents, I don't even know if they're online. They may be. Get these over to me. Email them to me. I want to take a look at them, and I'd love to go through what the specific charges of the case is, and and actually just go through the case file and look this up. But if anybody has any access, please email me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. If not, I'll just try to work on it and get these filings. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's go here.
Paragraph 4, I would ask that the court not consider that and strike that in its entirety. Again, it has really nothing to do with whether or not Mr. Rossi sexually assaulted.
She is calling him Rossi.
Paragraph 5, I would object to sentences 1 and 2 being considered by the court, because again, not really relevant to the purposes of what we're here for today. And then the remaining paragraphs 6, 7, 8, and 9, I don't have an objection to.
All right. Any other argument, counsel?
No.
Mr. Simmons?
Okay. Your Honor, paragraph 2, all but the last sentence are relevant to identity for reasons that we didn't reach today, because the defendant stipulated to a finding of identity. The final sentence does go to non-consent because it's part of a pattern of
right.
Because it's part of a pattern of manipulation and control described by the victim. And the fact that the defendant is stipulated to identity for purposes of today's hearing isn't grounds to strike even any of paragraph 2. It's simply because they're still relevant to identity. It corroborates different documents and different things that do tend to show identity. As far as the second half of paragraph 3,
look how much this is screwing the court up.
To manipulation and control, which again are significant to the court's determination of non-consent in this case, and the defendant's knowledge of non-consent. Paragraph 4. those items, so the contents of paragraph 4, again, I mean, that one goes a little bit toward the pattern of manipulation, but primarily that contains, there's evidence in there that confirms identity. Again, we shouldn't strike those paragraphs simply because identity is stipulated. It is evidence in this case, so it is relevant whether it's something that the court has to closely consider or not. And then the final sentence of that is relevant to jurisdiction. And then, let's see, the first two sentences of paragraph 5 are highly relevant to the court's determination of non-consent because they go directly to the pattern of manipulation and control that then culminates in the charged conduct in this case. Okay. So I would object to striking any of those sentences or paragraphs.
All right. The objection is based on relevance. Relevance is a low standard. Evidence is relevant. It has a tendency to make any fact more or less probable than it would be without the evidence. I think that
God, I wish I could see what those notes
that
are.
have been raised are relevant to the background of the case, the relationship between these parties. And so under a relevance standard, I think that they are relevant, will stay, and the objection is overruled. Any other arguments to be made, counsel?
That's fine.
All right, no. Well, this is a preliminary hearing at which the court
That wasn't a
needs to
win for the
determine,
defense.
from the evidence, whether there is probable cause to believe that the crime charged in the information was committed by this defendant. In making this probable cause determination, the prosecution is required to produce evidence sufficient to support a reasonable belief that the defendant committed the crime, the charged crime. In doing so, the court views all evidence in the light most favorable to the prosecution and must draw all reasonable inferences in favor of the prosecution. Applying that standard here, I find and conclude that the state has met its burden and has presented evidence sufficient to establish probable cause to believe that the crime charged in the information was committed and it was committed by this defendant.
There you go.
Accordingly, this matter is bound over. Ms. Dugan, when would you like to come back for an arraignment?
If we could set this for October 18th.
So October
that would be my
18th.
preference. Your Honor, candidly, at some point, we are seeking to have a bail hearing for Mr. Rossi. I'm not necessarily prepared to do that today for a couple of reasons. I need a little bit more information about his medical status in the jail. So if we could set it for October 18th with the understanding, maybe we will need a special set of bail hearing, and I can just let the clerks know about that.
Why don't we do this? What if we put it on Thursday, October 17th, and perhaps have a little bit more time in the event you want to explore that?
That's great.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Simmons?
Just a question, should the state be prepared to potentially argue bail on October 17th?
For now, yes, but I will let you know.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so Mr. Rossi?
Yeah, it's not happening. I agree.
Right, so I will see you on Thursday, October 17th. We will put that at
Yeah, exactly.
10 o'clock. That will be.
I would ask that it be in person.
We will have Mr. Knight transported.
Mr. Knight.
So October 17th, Thursday, October 17th at 10 o'clock for a pretrial. We'll set it for an arraignment.
There's no bail.
Okay. Anything further?
Not at this time, right?
No. All right. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody. Take care.
Oh, excuse me.
Court will be in recess.
Back to jail. Goodbye. Taking his note. There he goes. Took his notes in his pocket. I'm going to go back and see if I can zoom in at some point when I'm offline and see if I can find out what he was writing. Does he have the oxygen tank? Let's see. Yep. It's a smaller bottle, though. It's still big. Look at this big oxygen tank. It's a little bit more downsized, but there you go, buddy. See you later. Yeah, it's more of a medical size tank there. So, yeah, good stuff. Well, we got an update. So, looks like October 17th me just shut this down. Looks like it will be October 17th for a bail hearing and then another pretrial hearing on the 18th. So it's good. It's good to get back into these cases. Been meaning to do these for quite a while. We had the excellent live last night of Chelsea Grimm. I spent 3 hours on that. It was really great to go back and review her case, and many, many things came back to me during that case. And I knew it would because I spent such a significant time on it. And then getting into, Nicholas Rossi's case, had that excellent interview with Brian Kugan. I'll show you the screen really quick when Kugan was with me. This was back in February 18th, 2024. And that's when I was actually back in my bedroom. That's funny. Look at the sub count there. It's just like 16,000 at that point. That's funny. We almost doubled our sub count since then. I'm going to drop the link to that stream in the chat. So please go back and watch that. It's really great. And that will give you a little prefix to when these new hearings come up, and hopefully we get some new video. I'm going to tell you, when this hits Court TV and Law and Crime, if this goes to trial, I mean, they're going to be all over this. So this will be the case to watch because of just such the shit show that this guy has caused and assuming all these identities. And again, I'm going to reach back out to Brian Kugan, see if I can get him here in studio. We'll go through this again. I think it's going to be really great. Let me just do this. Let's see. And it says, Brian, another interesting show. Keep up the good work. 2 nights in a row of LTL was a treat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. Thank you for the 20. I do appreciate that. And thank you. Thanks for the support. $3, Priscilla. Thank you for the super sticker. Excellent, excellent stuff. Okay, so before we head out, I am very, 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 very excited about Saturday and Sunday shows. I have, I'm going to drop both of these links in the chat. Saturday will be Ken Bear. I will follow this trial. Ken Bear, that is the link that I just dropped. Ken Bear, again, is a former drug kingpin that got caught here in the state of Massachusetts, 1992, smuggling 14,000 pounds of marijuana, was caught and essentially was facing a lot of time and decided to flip and become a DEA informant. So I cannot wait to sit down with him face to face, side by side, mano a mano, and have him tell us his life story. It's going to be interesting, and he'll bring some of his books in. He has some artifacts that he's going to bring in and show his smuggling bags and stuff that he used to use. I'm super excited by that. And then on Sunday, I'm going to have Jennifer, who is Justin Root's sister. I met her at one of the Karen Reed standouts. And she said, hey, I would love to come into your studio and talk about Justin's case and his life and, who he was and what happened to him. And I had the opportunity of speaking to her today on the phone for about an hour. I'm very, very interested in Justin's case. And I said, well, why don't you do this? If you have time, come on in. Studio Sunday night, 8 p.m. Let's do a live and have you talk about his case. And that's what we will do. We'll sit down next to each other here in the chairs and go over his case. So I'm excited about that. She's going to have some photographs with her that she's going to show, probably some things that people haven't seen yet. And I'm very excited about to go through that as well. So you guys are all phenomenal. I appreciate the support on these off streams. There are cases that I've been meaning to get back to on my channel, cases that I've explored in the past. And I thought this was an excellent time to do that. Now that we have a little bit of a lull in the Karen Reed case, and I am not abandoning that case. I just taking kind of a break from it, taking some opportunities to come back. And I will be doing an Idaho 4 update because that's really what blasted this channel off, was my coverage in the Brian Kohberger Idaho 4 case. There's been some updates. There's been a change of venue, and I'd like to go over that as well and just give you my opinion about that case. And I've been very vocal the last couple of streams about it. There's a lot of Brian Kohberger supporters out there. And I just tell you this. For someone that supposedly didn't do these crimes, and I get it, we go to court, we give people their due justice, but listen, I can have my opinion. I think the guy did it. I think he's a cold-blooded murderer. And if he wasn't just the only one, that did it. He's definitely involved somehow. But I have to say this to the Brian Koberger supporters. For someone that is accused of a very heinous crime of murdering 4 people, he sure likes spending a lot of time in jail cells because it's been like almost 2 years, and he could have just went to exercise his right of speedy trial and get this out. I mean, listen, if I was 100% innocent of not doing something, and I knew that I was innocent of not doing something, I would tell my lawyer, let's get this on. I don't want to sit in a jail cell for a very long time. And he's been there for almost over 2 years. And it's going to be a little while longer because of the change of venue. But that is definitely something I want to get back into. So, again, yes, Scott said that's the case that got me on your channel. The Idaho 4 case, really interesting. But yeah, you know, we'll be doing some updates. So thank you all for being here. We have 2 kick-ass streams coming up. Saturday, 7 p.m., Ken Bear. Ken's going to be traveling. He's flying up from Florida. He's going to travel into Connecticut. He's doing a podcast there, and then he's going to drive over. I mean, the man is dedicated. That's awesome. And he's out on a book tour right now. He's written a book, so we're going to help promote his book. He's going to drive out here to LTL Studios here in Rentham, Massachusetts, and we'll have a live. So we're planning for 6 o'clock. It might be close to 7. Just be ready for it. Set your reminders, and hopefully that you all can join us. I'm going to take tomorrow off and prepare for Ken's live on Saturday, and then I will be back here again on on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jennifer Root Bannon will be with me, and we will talk about Justin Root's case and his story and life. So thank you. And Priscilla, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I appreciate that. And please, if you catch this stream or you catch it on replay, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We want to push the channel out into that evil algorithm. I've been designing some new thumbnails. I've been super happy about. I don't know. The creative just came out of me, and I love the thumbnails lately. So I think we're going to stick with that theme because the branding on them has just been really great. And I don't know, it kind of kicked it off the other night with the when I had Mazza and Rita in here. We did the watch party, but I've been really loving the style, and I'll just share my screen really quick. Really loving this style lately. So been working on some new thumbnails. I love it. I think it's cool, and I think it's a good brand for the channel, and we'll stick with this for a while and see how it works. So thank you all for being here. We're coming up on 2 hours. I'm going to go do some probably more work before I go home. I'm going to be in the studio for a little while. Thank you all the Ghost Squad members for being here, all the subscribers, all the people that came in that are new to this channel. I appreciate all of you. And I will be, again, back here on Saturday between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you can join us because that is going to be a killer live stream, live in studio. Ken Bear, bearing it all, no pun intended, about his life of being a drug kingpin turned DEA informant. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for the support tonight, all the super chats, the PayPal that came in. I appreciate that. It keeps the lights on here in the studio, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I'll see you on Saturday. Everybody, take care. Have a good night. Be safe. Bye-bye.